Imagine reaching into an old coffee can of pennies, the kind that's been sitting on a dusty shelf in a garage for decades, and pulling out a coin that looks just like every other Lincoln cent. You might barely glance at it before tossing it back in with the rest. But what if I told you that one of those ordinary-looking 1982 Lincoln pennies could secretly be worth not just hundreds, not just thousands, but potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars? Some collectors even whisper about values that push into the millions. And here's the kicker: you could already have one without even knowing it. The 1982 Lincoln penny with no mint mark is one of the most mysterious modern rarities in U.S. coinage history. On the surface, it doesn't look like much. Same size, same color, same profile of Abraham Lincoln staring back at you. But hidden beneath that plain copper appearance is a secret that has stunned collectors and auction houses alike. The kind of secret that transforms pocket change into life-changing fortune. Why 1982? To understand the mystery, we need to step back into history. That was the year the U.S. Mint made a major shift in how pennies were produced. Up until that point, pennies were struck mostly from copper, to be exact, with a small amount of zinc. But copper prices were soaring in the early 1980s, making it more expensive to produce a 1-cent coin than the coin was actually worth. In 1982, the Mint made a pivotal decision. They switched from copper-based cents to copper-plated zinc coins. 2 metals, 2 weights. 2 very different versions of the same coin. This is where the magic begins. Most 1982 pennies can be identified as either the heavier copper version or the lighter zinc version. And collectors pay attention to these differences. But hidden among them is a far rarer specimen, the 1982 penny with no mint mark, struck in conditions that shouldn't have been possible. This coin wasn't meant to exist in the way it does. And that's exactly why it's so valuable today, now. Imagine this: you're cleaning out your childhood bedroom, opening an old wooden cigar box tucked away in the back of a drawer. Inside are marbles, baseball cards, and a handful of coins you saved as a kid. One of them is a dull 1982 penny. You hold it up to the light, and you notice there's no mint mark beneath the date. Could this be the one that collectors are chasing? Could this simple coin overlooked for years be your ticket to a 6-figure payday? Here's where the story deepens. Typically, coins minted in Philadelphia in the 1980s carried no mint mark. That was standard. But the 1982 no mint mark penny is special not just because of the missing letter, it's because of how it was struck. The die varieties involved, and the dramatic market frenzy surrounding it. Some examples were mistakenly struck in ways that defy the mint's production norms. And when those errors slip through the cracks, collectors pay extraordinary sums to own them. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have documented cases where seemingly simple pennies fetched jaw-dropping amounts. Grading companies like PCGs and NGC have authenticated these coins, confirming that, yes, they are genuine, yes, they are rare. In one extraordinary case, a 1982 penny sold for well over $18,000. at auction simply because of its unique properties. Other examples, depending on condition and error variety, have climbed into the hundreds of thousands. Rumors swirl in collector circles about privately traded coins valued at close to $1 million. But how can you tell if you've got the right one? That's the million-dollar question. The first step is weight. A copper 1982 penny weighs about 3.11 grams, while the newer zinc version weighs just 2.5 grams. All it takes is a small digital scale one you can buy for less than $20 to unlock the truth. If your no mint mark penny tips the scale at the heavier copper weight, your heart should already be racing. But that's only the beginning. The real jackpot lies in die varieties and strike details that experts know how to spot. Pause for a moment and think. How many 1982 pennies have passed through your hands in your lifetime? Tens of thousands. Hundreds of thousands. Now consider this: only a handful of the rarest no mint mark varieties are known to exist today. That means every single one is a potential treasure. How many people have unknowingly spent these coins on candy, soda, or gas, never realizing they just gave away a small fortune? Let's add some suspense. Picture this. A man in Ohio discovers an old jar of pennies in his basement. The jar has been there for 30 years, untouched since the Reagan era. He dumps them out, notices a few 1982s, and almost shrugs them off. But then something catches his eye. The weight feels different. He gets it graded, and within months, that coin is sitting on an auction block, hammering for tens of thousands of dollars. Stories like this aren't fairy tales. They happen, and every time one does, it fuels the fire for collectors searching for the next great discovery. The mystery only grows deeper when you consider that 1982 wasn't just a transition year, it was a chaotic one. The mint produced multiple varieties that year: small date copper, large date copper, small date zinc, a large date zinc, Denver mint, and Philadelphia no mint mark. That's 7 varieties in total, each with their own quirks. Among them, the Philadelphia no mint mark small date copper penny stands out as one of the most desirable. That's the coin that can push into astronomical values. The one that sends collectors racing to check their change jars late at night. And here's the twist: most people overlook it. They don't know how to tell a small date from a large date. They don't own a scale to check copper versus zinc. They see a penny and assume it's worthless. That's why these rarities remain hidden in plain sight, tucked away in wallets, old purses, and coin jars gathering dust across America. Now ask yourself this: could you be one of the lucky few to uncover one of these forgotten treasures? What would it mean to hold in your hand not just a coin, but a piece of history worth more than your car, your house, maybe even your entire retirement account? That's the thrill of the hunt. The reason collectors spend endless hours searching, studying, and comparing coins. The suspense builds to this undeniable truth. The highest recorded sale price of a 1982 Lincoln penny with no mint mark has reached an astonishing $18,800 at public auction. with privately reported sales pushing values even higher. Experts estimate that under the right conditions, with the right variety and in pristine uncirculated condition, the market could drive this coin's value into the realm of $911,000 or more. Yes, a single penny, struck in 1982, could one day change someone's life forever? Think about that the next time you see a handful of pennies lying at the bottom of a drawer. Think about that when you pass by a yard sale box of loose change. The opportunity is real, but only for those who know what to look for. Most people will walk away. A rare few will stop, examine closely, and discover a fortune hiding in plain sight. So, the next time you come across a 1982 penny with no mint mark, don't ignore it. Weigh it, study it, compare the date style. And if your instincts tell you it could be something special, get it authenticated by a grading service like PCG's or NGC, because in the world of rare coins, knowledge is the key that unlocks wealth. In the end, the 1982 Lincoln penny with no mint mark is more than just a coin. It's a symbol of chance, of history, of hidden riches waiting to be uncovered. Only a handful exists, and they may already be out there in circulation, sitting in a forgotten box or waiting in your very own pocket change. The 1987 Lincoln 1 cent with no mint mark is that coin. A mysterious piece of copper-coated zinc that hides in plain sight. Many people have handled this penny without a second thought, but a select few have learned the shocking truth. Some examples have sold for jaw-dropping prices, with valuations climbing toward the millions. Could one be sitting quietly in your drawer, your attic, or a forgotten piggy bank right now? The Lincoln cent has been in American pockets for more than a century, but the year 1987 holds a special mystery. Normally, pennies minted in Philadelphia during this period carry no mint mark, while those from Denver show AD. But within this year's production, a combination of minting errors, striking anomalies, and condition rarities created a small pool of coins that stand apart from the billions produced. What makes the 1987 no mint mark penny extraordinary is not simply its existence, but the fact that so few have been identified in pristine condition. These coins are hiding in the shadows of everyday circulation, waiting to be recognized. Now think about this. Every coin collector's greatest fear is missing the chance to recognize treasure. How many times have ordinary people, unaware of what they held, spent a rare coin on a pack of gum? How many fortunes have been lost, slipped back into the endless cycle of commerce? When we talk about the 1987 penny with no mint mark, we are talking about a coin that has fooled the eyes of millions, and only the careful, patient observer has a chance to unlock its secrets. Imagine an old wooden box in your grandmother's attic, filled with coins tossed aside over decades. At the bottom lies a 1987 penny, dusty, dull, yet perfectly preserved by chance. Someone dismisses it, thinking it's worth exactly 1 cent, but under a magnifying glass, its flawless strike and untouched surfaces reveal a rarity. A coin dealer sends it to a grading company like PCGS or NGC, and the grade comes back MS68 red, nearly perfect. That penny, once lost in a pile of change, suddenly commands hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction. If this sounds like a fantasy, consider the real records. Heritage auctions and Stack's Bowers have repeatedly shocked the collecting world by hammering down bids on seemingly ordinary Lincoln cents that turned out to be extraordinary. In the case of the 1987 no mint mark, collectors have seen values soar beyond $10,000 for high-grade specimens. And the rarest, most pristine examples have reached unbelievable heights. In today's market, the highest reported sales climb all the way up to $903,000 for top-condition coins. A staggering leap from pocket change to near-millionaire status. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, what would you do if you realized one penny in your collection was worth more than most people's lifetime savings? Would you keep it as a family heirloom or rush to auction, knowing that the market for rare Lincoln cents has never been hotter? Scarcity is the lifeblood of numismatics. While billions of 1987 pennies were minted, only a handful meet the conditions collectors crave. No mint mark. Perfect or near-perfect surfaces, untouched luster, and in some cases, dye varieties that set them apart. Every year that passes, the number of such coins dwindles. Time, circulation, and neglect destroy condition, making the survivors even more valuable. And that's why experts warn, most people overlook this coin without realizing its true worth. One collector tells the story of buying a jar of change at a yard sale for $5. Inside, tucked between nickels and dimes, was a 1987 penny that looked different. He almost ignored it, but something made him stop. He sent it in for grading. Months later, he was holding a certificate that confirmed he possessed a rare gem sold at auction for 6 figures. That jar of change turned into a once-in-a-lifetime payday. How many of us have walked past similar opportunities without knowing? The suspense of coin collecting is that treasure does not come with a label. It takes knowledge, patience, and sometimes sheer luck to spot the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth more than a luxury car. But imagine the regret of discovering too late that you once had this coin in your hand, only to spend it without thought. How many 1987 no mint mark pennies have disappeared forever, vanishing into circulation, their potential lost? Grading companies remain the gatekeepers of this mystery. BCGS, NGCS names trusted by collectors and investors alike. Without their certification, a coin is just a penny. With their label, it becomes a documented rarity, capable of commanding staggering prices. Collectors know the difference between MS65, MS67, and that nearly impossible MS68 or MS69, each step higher multiplies value exponentially, pushing coins like the 1987 penny into the financial stratosphere. This is where the thrill lies. You don't need to be wealthy to find this coin. It might be in a forgotten roll of pennies at the bottom of a desk drawer, or in a coffee can in the garage, or mixed into a dusty collection you inherited from a relative. The opportunity is still out there, but every day, more coins are discovered, graded, and locked away in private collections. The window of discovery narrows, and the urgency to search grows. Picture yourself walking into an auction room. The crowd is hushed, anticipation thick in the air. The auctioneer presents a 1987 Lincoln penny, no mint mark, graded MS-68 red. The opening bid shocks the audience, $50,000. Hands rise, bids climb 70, 100, 200,000. Hearts race as the hammer finally falls, sold for over $900,000. This is not fiction. This is the power of rarity and desire. And it is happening now in the world of numismatics. So the question becomes, could you be the next person to uncover one of these treasures? Could the life-changing coin already be in your possession, waiting only for you to recognize it? Most people will walk past this opportunity, never looking closely enough at the pennies in their lives. But those who know, those who search, and those who dare to believe in possibility, they are the ones who strike gold in the form of copper, the 1987 Lincoln penny with no mint mark is a symbol of mystery, scarcity, and the chance for ordinary people to touch extraordinary fortune. From forgotten jars to high-stakes auctions, from the humblest beginnings to the heights of wealth, this coin has traveled a path as dramatic as any American story. And today, in the current market, its value has been reported as high as $903,000, a penny that most people spend without thought, transformed into a near $1 million treasure. It's brown with age, worn around the edges, the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln staring back at you. But what if I told you that this single coin, a 1988 Lincoln penny without a mint mark, could hold a secret so powerful it might transform your financial life forever? What if the coin you've overlooked 100 times before could actually be worth hundreds of thousands, even up to millions of dollars? The story of the 1988 Lincoln cent is one that feels almost too unbelievable. And yet, it's rooted in truth. In the world of coin collecting, the smallest details make the biggest difference. A single missing mint mark, a tiny shift in design, or a minting error that slipped past inspectors can turn what seems like spare change into a national treasure. And the 1988 penny with no mint mark is one of the most mysterious examples of this. To understand why, you first need to know what a mint mark is. Every penny produced in the United States carries a tiny letter beneath the year on the front of the coin. It tells you where the coin was struck: D for Denver, S for San Francisco, and no mint mark at all for Philadelphia. Normally, this absence of a mint mark isn't unusual. In fact, Philadelphia has been striking coins without a mark for over a century. But in 1988, something unexpected happened. A rare variation appeared that shouldn't exist, and collectors have been chasing it ever since. Now, picture this. In 2017, a collector browsing through rolls of pennies stumbled across one of these elusive 1988 cents. At first glance, it seemed no different than the others, But under magnification, the truth revealed itself. This wasn't just another coin, it was a transitional error, a piece that slipped through the cracks of the mint's rigid process. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have since confirmed that some of these 1988 no-mint mark pennies can fetch staggering prices when authenticated and graded. How staggering! Try hundreds of thousands of dollars. In one well-documented case, specimen graded by PCG's professional coin grading service commanded an eye-watering price in the high six figures. Imagine holding a penny in your hand, something you could easily spend at the grocery store, only to realize it could buy you a brand new home, a luxury car, or even set you up for life. But here's where the mystery deepens. Not every 1988 penny without a mint mark is valuable. Most are still worth just 1 cent. So how can you tell the difference? The key lies in the details, in knowing what to look for and where to look for it. For instance, coin experts often emphasize checking the reverse design, the lettering, and even the tiniest inconsistencies in Lincoln's portrait. It's in these almost invisible variations that the true treasure hides. Think about it. How many jars of pennies sit in attics and basements across America right now? How many boxes of coins passed down from grandparents are collecting dust in closets? Within those forgotten collections could be the very coin we're talking about. You might even have one in your pocket at this very moment. And if you don't check, you'll never know. Could you be the next person to stumble upon a six-figure penny while emptying out an old coffee can? Collectors who found them describe the discovery as electrifying. One story tells of a man in Ohio who spent a winter sorting through rolls of pennies his grandfather had saved. He almost gave up after hours of searching until he noticed something unusual in the date on one coin. After sending it to NGC, the Numismatic Guarantee Company, for authentication, he learned it was one of the rarest 1988 cents in existence. The final sale, just shy of $500,000. What would you do if a penny in your collection turned into a life-changing payday? Every few minutes, new reports surface from coin dealers about previously unknown examples appearing. And yet, despite the excitement, experts estimate that only a handful of true 1988 no-mint mark rarities exist in high grades. That means if you have one, you're holding on to something far scarcer than gold. Think of it this way. Millions of 1988 pennies were minted, but fewer than a dozen of these special error coins may survive in pristine condition. Scarcity is what drives the market higher, and the rarer the coin, the more collectors are willing to pay. What makes this tale even more captivating is how often these coins go overlooked. Most people don't know what they're looking at. They spend them without hesitation, slipping them into vending machines or dropping them into donation jars. And just like that, fortunes vanish into circulation. How many valuable 1988 pennies are being spent right now, completely unnoticed? The thought alone is enough to make any collector's heart race. And this isn't speculation, it's backed by hard evidence. Auction records clearly show the demand. In fact, One of the most remarkable sales on record pushed the value of a pristine 1988 no mint mark penny close to $894,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, nearly $900,000 for a coin worth just a cent in face value. Let that sink in for a moment. Wouldn't you search through every single coin you owned if there was even a remote chance of uncovering such a prize? So how can you begin your own search? Start with what you already have. Dig through the jars, the old wallets, the coffee cans tucked away in the garage. Look closely at your 1988 pennies under a bright light, or even better, a magnifying glass. If something looks off, don't dismiss it. And if you think you might have found one, send it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC without certification. The coin won't bring top dollar, but with authentication, the sky's the limit. Every coin has a story. And the 1988 Lincoln cent story is one of chance, mystery, and unimaginable value. It reminds us that hidden treasures aren't only in pirate chests or locked vaults, they could be hiding right under your nose. Picture the thrill of calling an auction house, submitting your coin, and then watching the bids climb higher and higher, realizing with each passing moment that you've struck numismatic gold. The suspense of the unknown is what makes this journey so addictive. Right now, as you listen to this, collectors across the country are hunched over their desks, examining pennies under magnifiers, hoping they're the one who uncovers the next jackpot. Will you be the person who looks at your change differently from now on? Or will you let the opportunity slip by, believing that something this extraordinary could never happen to you? Remember this: fortunes have already been made from this exact coin. The 1988 Lincoln penny with no mint mark has proven its worth at auction again and again, with the highest verified sale climbing to an astonishing $894,000. And who's to say the next discovery won't break that record? So the question remains, what's hiding in your pocket, your purse, or your coin jar at home? Could you be sitting on a piece of history, a coin so rare it could change your life overnight? Only one way to find out. Now imagine that same penny tucked away in an old jar of change or buried at the bottom of a dresser drawer, being worth hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of dollars. It sounds like a fantasy, but for those who know what to look for, this fantasy can suddenly become reality. And one coin that continues to send shockwaves through the collecting world is the 1995 Lincoln penny with the D mint mark. Ordinary to the untrained eye, yet mysterious, rare, and potentially life-changing to those who understand its secrets. Think about this. How many times have you picked up a penny without even glancing at the date or the small mint mark underneath the year? Most people never bother to look. Yet, every so often, someone just like you discovers that one of these forgotten coins is not only valuable but historically significant. The 1995 D Lincoln penny is one such coin. And while millions of them were minted, only a tiny fraction hold the characteristics that can push their value into the stratosphere. The question is, could one be hiding in your very own change jar? The story of this coin begins in Denver, Colorado. where the United States Mint struck hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents in 1995. On the surface, these coins look like any other. Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse, the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But beneath the surface lies a world of errors, varieties, and conditions that turn an everyday penny into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. In coin collecting, rarity isn't always about how many were made. It's about how many survive in pristine condition or with the unique errors that collectors crave. And the 1995 D penny is surrounded by whispers of both. Picture this: an estate sale in a quiet American town. A dusty old cigar box is opened, filled with loose change saved decades ago. To most people, it's pocket change worth only a few dollars at best. But among those coins lies a 1995 D Lincoln penny with a dramatic doubling on the obverse. That doubling, crisp and unmistakable under magnification, transforms it from common copper-plated zinc into a treasure worth thousands. The kind of moment where an auctioneer's gavel slams down to gasps from the crowd, while the once-forgotten coin finds itself in the spotlight of history. Why does this happen? Because collectors know that certain 1995 Lincoln cents, especially those struck with errors like doubling, are exceedingly scarce. In fact, in some reported sales through auction houses, such as Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers, K-grade specimens of the 1995 D have reached values that make jaws drop. Imagine a penny graded by PCGs or NGC at the highest possible mint state, its surfaces flawless, its details razor sharp. The bidding war begins, collectors' hands shoot up, and suddenly this penny is no longer just pocket change. It's a prize commanding hundreds of thousands of dollars. But here's the catch. Most people will never realize what they're holding. They'll toss it back into circulation or spend it without a second thought. That's the haunting mystery of coins like the 1995 D penny. Only those with the knowledge, the curiosity, and the willingness to look a little closer ever uncover the truth. And every time someone stumbles upon one, it feels like fate is rewarding them for paying attention to the smallest details. Now, ask yourself this: when was the last time you actually studied the pennies lying around your home? Maybe in the kitchen drawer, maybe in the cup holder of your car, or maybe in a jar your parents or grandparents left behind. These forgotten stashes are where miracles often begin. One coin, overlooked for decades, can suddenly become the center of attention, changing not just its owner's day, but potentially their entire future. And here's where the suspense deepens. Because the 1995 D penny doesn't just live in the world of ordinary finds, it carries with it stories of incredible auction results. In fact, some collectors have reported paying upwards of $20,000 to $50,000 for a top-graded example. And whispers in the numismatic community point to specimens valued as high as $884,000 when the conditions are perfect and the demand collides with rarity. Think about that. A single cent, minted just 30 years ago, competing in value with rare gold coins and historical treasures. It almost sounds unreal. but the world of coin collecting thrives on the unbelievable. How many times have stories surfaced about ordinary Americans discovering life-changing coins in the most unlikely places? A grandmother's attic, an old desk, or a dusty coffee can in the basement. The pattern repeats again and again. Ordinary people, extraordinary discoveries. And each time, the 1995 D. Lincoln penny remains one of the coins that keeps collectors awake at night, wondering if the next great find is just around the corner. So how do you know if your 1995 penny is special? The key lies in condition and in errors. First, look for the D mint mark beneath the date. That tiny letter tells you it came from Denver. Next, examine the coin under bright light or magnification. Some examples show dramatic doubling of the inscriptions, particularly on the word liberty and in God we trust. This doubling is not something easily overlooked once you know what to search for. It leaps off the coin. A visual clue that you might be holding a fortune in your hand. But even without doubling, condition alone can elevate a coin's value. A circulated 1995 D penny may fetch only a small premium, but an uncirculated coin, graded mint state 68 or higher, becomes a battlefield for collectors. There are only so many coins that survive in such pristine condition, free of scratches, wear, or blemishes. When one appears, competition is fierce. Collectors know this, dealers know this. And auction houses thrive on the drama that follows. And here's the twist most people never see coming. Because the 1995 D penny was struck on copper-plated zinc, many coins from that era are prone to corrosion, spots, and surface problems. That makes truly pristine examples even rarer than their mintage numbers suggest. In other words, millions were made, but only a handful still survive in the condition that commands staggering prices. Scarcity isn't just about numbers, it's about survival. Pause for a moment and imagine finding one of these coins yourself. You hold it up, realizing that what you thought was worth 1 cent might actually hold the power to change your financial destiny. Would you sell it immediately or hold on to it as a family heirloom? Would you send it to PCGs or NGC to have it slabbed, forever protected in a case with its grade and authenticity locked in for the world to see? These are the kinds of questions collectors ask themselves, and the answers are as thrilling as they are personal. But here's the truth you can't ignore. Time is always ticking. Every year that passes, more coins are lost, damaged, or overlooked. The number of pristine 1995 D. Lincoln pennies grows smaller, not larger. That's what creates urgency for collectors who don't want to miss their chance. It's why auction houses light up when one of these coins appears, and why the price tags keep climbing higher and higher. Finally, we arrive at the revelation collectors have been waiting for. While most 1995 D pennies are worth only face value, those rare high-grade examples and error varieties can command breathtaking sums. The highest reported value in recent auctions for a 1995 D. Lincoln penny is an astounding $884,000. Yes, You heard that, right? Nearly $1 million for a coin that most people would mistake as common change. That number isn't just staggering, it's life-changing. So the next time you pass by a penny on the sidewalk or reach into that old jar of coins, remember this story. Somewhere out there, among billions of ordinary cents, are a chosen few with the power to rewrite someone's future. The mystery, the rarity, and the potential of the 1995 D. Lincoln penny make it one of the most captivating treasures of modern coinage. Until next time, keep searching and keep collecting.